Switchblade and Dracula stood shoulder to shoulder, their sinister presence eclipsing the very light around them. Across from them, Odin the All-Father, aglow with the full might of the Odin Force, and Doctor Strange, Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, readied themselves for what could very well be their final battle. The air itself seemed to tremble, as if reality was aware of the cosmic clash about to unfold. With a thunderous roar, Odin unleashed the full fury of the Odin Force, his fist striking Atum, the God-Eater, square in the chest. The impact was cataclysmic. Mountains split in half, oceans quaked, and shockwaves raced across continents. Yet, when the dust settled, Atum did not fall. He merely chuckled, the sound low and venomous, reverberating like the growl of an ancient beast. "Impressive," Atum sneered, his glowing eyes boring into Odin. "But you'll need more. Both of you. Come, attack me together. Make this interesting." Dracula, looming in his evolved form, folded his arms and laughed, the sound sharp and mocking. His fangs glistened under the fractured sky as he stepped back, eyes alight with cruel delight. "By all means," Dracula said with a smirk. "I'll sit this round out. Watching gods struggle is far too entertaining to interrupt." Odin's fists, wrapped in the Odin Force, slammed again and again into Switchblade's face, each strike creating shockwaves and churned the oceans miles away. Doctor Strange weaved spells alongside him, conjuring crimson shields, serpentine wards, and binding incantations pulled from the deepest corners of the astral realm. But Switchblade did not falter. He caught one of Odin's swings bare-handed and forced the All-Father to his knees, his grin widening. "Every strike, every spell," Switchblade said with cruel amusement. "It becomes mine." Strange staggered back, sweat beading his brow. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from hesitation. He reached into his cloak, fingers brushing against a hidden cursed tome. The Darkhold. Odin's voice thundered in his mind. "Do not, sorcerer. That path will damn you." But Strange's gaze hardened. "Better my soul damned," he whispered, "than the earth consumed." With a single motion, he opened the Darkhold. The pages bled shadows, eldritch symbols writhing like living serpents. Strange chanted words no mortal tongue was meant to speak. His form twisted as black tendrils of chaos magic wrapped around his arms, his eyes turning into pits of obsidian fire. The sky dimmed. Even Odin paused, sensing the corruption. Switchblade tilted his head, intrigued. From Strange's hands erupted a torrent of crimson-black fire, searing through dimensions, wrapping around Switchblade's body like chains, forged from nightmares themselves. The power of the Darkhold did not feed him. It burned. For the first time, Switchblade roared in pain, his aura faltering under the onslaught of forbidden magic. Strange bellowed, his voice now layered with demonic undertones. "I bind you, God-Eater!" Switchblade dropped to one knee, smoke rising from his body, his katana vibrating violently as if rejecting his grip. Odin moved in, summoning the full Odin Force for a killing blow. But before the strike could land, Strange gasped, blood streaming from his eyes, his veins turning black. The Darkhold was consuming him as much as it was Switchblade. His screams tore through the battlefield as reality warped around him. Dracula, watching, smirked. Odin seized the moment. His spear, Gungnir, hummed with the full weight of the Odin Force. With a war cry that split the sky, the All-Father struck. The first blow crashed against Switchblade's chest, hurling him back through a mountain ridge. The second strike ripped open the ground itself. The third, the heaviest, landed squarely against Switchblade's jaw, shattering the sound barrier and shaking the stars above. Switchblade staggered, his body cracking under the sheer force, ichor dripping where even Atum's resilience faltered. For the first time, the God-Eater bled. Dracula's smirk faltered. He had been content to spectate, but the sight of Odin pressing Switchblade onto the defensive unnerved him. His wings unfurled, his body morphing into a monstrous hybrid of wolf and bat, and with a snarl, he leapt into the fray. The All-Father's one eye glowed with a deep, golden fire. Odin whispered words older than the 9 realms themselves, words that bent not matter, but mind. Dracula froze mid-air. His pupils widened as the world around him melted away. In an instant, the vampire lord was no longer in battle, but standing in a field drenched in crimson moonlight. His armies surrounded him, cheering, basking in his glory. Before him stood the sun itself, yet it did not burn him. It bowed to him, offering its light. Dracula laughed, believing for a moment his dream of eternal conquest had come true. But in the waking world, his body hung limp in the air, eyes glassy, his consciousness ensnared in Odin's dream-woven prison. "Few remember," Odin said coldly, lowering his spear, "that the All-Father does not only shape worlds, but minds. Let the leech sleep." Switchblade snarled, forcing himself upright despite the Darkhold's searing chains. "Impressive, All-Father, but your tricks will not save you." He spat black ichor onto the shattered ground. "Once I tear free, I'll devour both your power and his." Odin's eye burned brighter, his voice steady as thunder. "Then rise, God-Eater. For as long as I draw breath, you will learn why Asgard endures." Switchblade, Atum the God-Eater, slowly rose from the rubble, his wounds already stitching themselves together with raw cosmic fire. The chains of the Darkhold sizzled and cracked against his skin, each one screaming as if alive, straining to hold him down. Dr. Strange poured every ounce of focus into keeping the spell intact, summoning waves of undead from the Darkhold to swarm Atum, their skeletal hands clawing and snapping at his body. "Stay down, damn you!" Strange shouted, sweat beading down his face, his aura flickering under the book's corruptive toll. Atum didn't resist. He laughed. His hands stretched outward, and the air began to warp and twist, as if the universe itself bent to his will. The sun flickered in the daylight sky, bending like molten glass, their energy siphoned into his frame. The Darkhold's chains shattered. With a guttural roar, Atum lunged forward, grabbing Odin by the breastplate. In a motion faster than thought, he smashed his forehead into the All-Father's skull. The impact echoed like a supernova, blasting Odin a football field away. Entire peaks crumbled as the All-Father's body tore through stone and fire, before finally coming to rest in a cloud of shattered earth. Strange gasped, his hands trembling, but redoubled his efforts. He called forth legions of spectral warriors, undead soldiers from across forgotten realms, and hurled them toward Atum. The ground was blackened with thousands of shambling forms clawing at the God-Eater, but Atum only smirked. "You think corpses can stop the one who devours gods?" His eyes burned like collapsing suns, and with a single stomp, a ripple of warped time blasted outward. The undead aged into dust mid-stride, their very existence erased in an instant. Strange fell to one knee. His body ached with corruption, the Darkhold's whispers now screaming in his mind. I can't hold him. I can't hold." Then the air grew heavy, colder than death, sharper than despair. A psychic storm ripped through the battlefield, splitting sky from earth. Strange looked up, wide-eyed, realizing it wasn't Atum causing this. It was something else. A familiar voice echoed across the astral plane, layered with both Charles Xavier's compassion and Magneto's fury. Enough. The ground cracked open as a colossal psionic form emerged, armor of crimson and black, a visage of rage incarnate. The being's very presence made reality shudder, as though existence itself feared his awakening. Onslaught had arrived. Atum turned his gaze toward the towering psionic titan, his grin widening. "Finally," he said, flexing his hands as the energy of stolen stars radiated from his form, a challenge worthy of the God-Eater. And somewhere, still locked in Odin's dream prison, Dracula began to stir and awaken his laughter faint but growing. Share, like, comment, and subscribe for the final episode.